You're watching E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Share and subscribe.
Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. This is Rob. This video, we're going to do our review for Gotham. A very, very good episode. Started off right with the Penguin finally making it back to Gotham. And I gotta say, like, in the early going, that part there where he's kind of sitting, like, standing in the middle of the street and there's, like, crime happening all around him, kind of was like, all right, I mean, that's a little bit ridiculous. I mean, I come from the Bronx and I can tell you, standing in the middle of the street in the worst neighborhood, you won't see that much crime going on in broad daylight. But outside of that, I mean, this was a very good episode. A lot of things are starting to go down. You can see that power struggle going on between Fish and Falcone. And, you know, obviously you got Maroney in the background that they're discussing. You know, this Gordon and Bullock, it's like every episode, they start off on a bad foot. They argue. You can see the disagreement. He knows he's corrupt. He knows he's a Boy Scout. Yet, again, they find a way to put aside their differences and get the job done. And this episode marks the first sign of Vigilante in the city of Gotham. And what I got out of this episode was a lot of seed planting. A lot of seed planting. The first thing, and I'm kind of going out of order here. I mean, in terms of the events of the episode, I mean, we have the balloon killer killing off pretty much corrupted, powerful people. And that's what sets Gordon's motivation to do the investigation is because it's the right thing to do. People are murdered, whether their history dictates them to be a bad person or a good person is irrelevant. Murder is murder. Where Bullock at first didn't give a shit because he didn't like the first guy that was murdered because of the Ponzi scheme he was involved in. But then the second guy who was murdered turned out to be the lieutenant of the Gotham Police Department, and he was corrupt. And once he was murdered, then Bullock started to care. So they ensued on their investigation. In between all that, you got Falcone. I'm going to say Falcone. They keep saying Falcone. I'm used to hearing Falcone. And Fish, still with their little power struggle. She sets off a hit on one of his girls. And we see in between all this that the Penguin is starting to try and work from the bottom up, basically. He is, and not just, well, both literally and in terms of trying to also get up there in the world of crime. But he takes an odd job at an Italian restaurant as a busboy, obviously killing the guy who used to work there. And, I mean, he must have offed like two people in this episode. One guy when he shanked him in the Achilles, and then he just took him down and then he used the money to go buy himself some food. You know, and there's a lot going on. We see that they're really emphasizing corruption in Gotham. But you see, the thing that kind of bothers me about this, and it's a minor gripe, is that they're emphasizing this so much that it's getting to the point that only a Batman could deal with this. And we're nowhere near Batman being ready. They're even planting like Batman seeds, you know? When Gordon was talking to Barbara and he said, you know, everybody has to matter because once one person doesn't matter and another person doesn't, and this is, I'm just paraphrasing here, and you start to lose faith. The people start to lose faith, and then that's what brings out vigilantes. And of course, the balloon killer being the vigilante. And we got a lot of Bruce in this episode compared to the last ones. Very nice moment that him and Alfred had, play sword fighting in the house. And of course, Alfred finding out that he's investigating his parents' murder. He's looking at the files and everything. And you can see that Bruce is starting to develop that sense of independence at an early age, taking things into his own, doing things that are very intent on his work. You know, even kind of playing homage to some of the movies and maybe even the comics where Alfred is bringing him food and he's so intent on working out what the case he's working on or whatever's happened that he's not eating. He's just nose deep into the file. Very, very Batman. Very, you know, older Bruce Wayne. But the thing of it is, you have all these little seeds of vigilante coming in, and which probably means that there's going to be a vigilante on the show, maybe, that will kind of be like Batman. Not necessarily like dress like him and everything, but act like him. Like, he will take down crime without killing people. Because we see that Bruce Wayne said one important factor at the end of the episode, and this was interesting too, when he said about the guy being a criminal too because he committed murder. And then right after he said that, he's looking at the broadcast, and the lady, the anchor, she's like, and who's going to protect Gotham, or something along those lines. And suddenly he starts to eat. Suddenly he's like, because, you know, Alfred told him earlier in the episode, you need to get your strength. You need to eat to maintain your strength. And boom, starts chowing down. But see, that's also the side that kind of concerns me, because right now Bruce is not even remotely close to old enough to don the cowl. Even, it's one thing if he was like 17, 18, then you could see him messing around, going out at night, dressed up in some sort of poor man's Batman suit, like early on. But right now it's like, that's the vibe I got. You know, a lot of Batman planting seeds here, like the Vigilantes and no hope for Gotham. Everyone's corrupt. And even Jim, when he's with Barbara at the house towards the end of the episode, he's sitting there and he just looks worn and beat up. Like he's a one-man show here, and he essentially is. Every cop is corrupt. Every cop. Every politician. It seems like everyone in the city is corrupt except Jim. And that, to me, I mean, there's got to be some kind of middle ground. You can't just, you know, overweigh one side with like villains and corruption and have one good guy. You know what I mean? So that's where I kind of see that they might hit a potential problem, but it's still too early to tell. They could have plans for another character to come in and kind of level off the playing field a little bit, because that's the only thing right now that's got me a little concerned and that kind of bothers me. Is that everyone in this damn city is corrupt. And they do things for their own best interests of getting somewhere, where Jim is essentially right now the only person that does the right thing and is selfless. So, you know, cause you know they can't bring in Batman. Nowhere near that. That's the kind of thing that I always thought would be at the end of the show, kind of like what they did with Smallville. But I don't know. That's the only thing that's really like, that's kind of like my gripe right now is it's like an overload of corruption. It's like everybody's corrupted. And even the Vigilante was just murdering people in a very unique but kind of grotesque way. In terms of like the Penguin, I thought that, this guy is really doing a good job. And I can't remember the actor's name, you know, right off the bat. I remember seeing him in Walking Dead last year. And, he's doing a fantastic job as the Penguin. And I like the storyline the Penguin has. I like to see Jim struggle, but it's a little overbearing because of what he's up against. As you all know, Fish, I love Fish. I love Jada Pinkett Smith as Fish. She's fantastic. The little bit that we see of Falcone, I like him too. I like that power struggle. It's such a silent, almost arrogant power struggle. You know, you got my man, so now I'm going to get your girl. And they know each other. They know that they're both doing it, but because there's no conclusive evidence, they got to kind of play funny about it. And, Barbara and the detective from MCU, her name escapes me at the moment, but that was a surprise. I didn't know they were a thing. I was kind of trying to think back to some of the other episodes, and I'm like, did I miss something? Because I didn't know they were an item. I thought maybe they were friends, but, apparently they were an item. So that's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see if that is going to play a role in any way, shape, or form. And the only thing I gotta say is I think that Gordon at this point should tell Barbara what's going on with him. Because the last thing he's gonna want is for her to find out through the grapevine. So I think that's what's gonna happen. Because for me, it makes sense for him to tell her. But I think what's gonna happen is she's gonna find out at some point or another, she's gonna hear from other sources or find out that he killed, Cobblepot, and, you know, that's going to, you know, might come back to bite that relationship in the ass. So, but it was a very good episode. A lot going on. A lot of things starting to develop. I'm not too crazy about the amount of villains and the amount of corruption in the city. Even the opening scene where there's crime like on every freaking corner and every side of the street. It's a little bit much. It's a little bit much for just one clean cop to handle. So that's something I shouldn't say think because this is already filmed, but it's something I hope they work on by either bringing in another good source or perhaps scaling back on the villains, maybe killing a couple off or something. But you know, we'll see what happens. Outside of that, though, it's been a really good episode, really good show so far. This episode was really good. The Balloon Killer Vigilante run was a good run. Obviously, Bullock and Gordon are still a strong duo, even though they always disagree. Fish is fantastic. The Penguin is starting to make his name, starting to make his way into the city and start trying to pull some strings. Barbara's got a big secret. As far as I know, I don't know if Gordon knows what her past is, but as far as I know, that's a big secret. And there's a lot of Batman seeds there. A lot of little Batman seeds with the whole showing Bruce Wayne a lot, the investigating, what the anchor said, how he responded, his comment about the man, the vigilante, and how he was no different than a criminal because he murdered. Jim Gordon talking about vigilantism, rising in the city because of people losing faith. Really good episode. Really good episode. So let's see what happens next week, but I'm on board for the show. I'm liking it. You already know my gripe. I just want them to cut down on the corruption and the villains. It seems to way outnumber the good, which seems right now to be only Gordon. So anyway, guys, that's it for this review. This is Rob signing off for E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy.
Thank you for watching E.T.N. Don't forget to subscribe and join the Nation Facebook page.